Well, it is 2 p.m. Central African Time. It is Wednesday, the 13th of March. Good afternoon and welcome to Business Watch, powered by Nedbank Eswatini. With me, Sifiso Ngumalo. Really happy to be with you over the next hour as we cover business news. The ERS, which is the Eswatini Revenue Service, has some pertinent advice for businesses that are struggling to submit their tax returns. That will be the first story that we want to cover on this episode. It is a development that will be explained in detail by Director of Communications at the Eswatini Revenue Service, Vusi Dlamini. We will then make sense of a study for the establishment of the Cooperatives Bank that the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade will soon start. I will be in conversation with the Deputy Commissioner of Cooperatives, Bongani Mazia, just to further develop that story. What is it really? What does it mean for cooperatives and Emaswati in Eswatini? Another exciting development catching quite a lot of attention is the establishment of a secretariat that will look into the project of merging state-owned enterprises. We will hear more about it from the chairperson of Eswatini Public Enterprises Association, Dumsani Msibi. We will then detail this very same story with our business journalist Nelsiwe Ndlangamandla. We will also be in conversation with Bagcinile Simelane. She is a personal banking manager with Nedbank to talk about personal loans and overdrafts. But our last segment will be again from the Nedbank of Eswatini. The market analysis will be joined by Nozibo Siso Dembe. She's a treasury dealer at Nedbank Eswatini. For now, let's look at business news. On our first story, the Eswatini Revenue Service has advised businesses that are struggling to submit their tax returns on the Tax Ease platform to ensure that they are first registered in the system. Now, this was explained by the Director of Communications, Vusi Dlamini, after some of the businesses have been reported to fail submitting their taxes on the recently launched system.
We are receiving quite a number of calls from some of the people out there that are expected to submit their returns using the system. We know that on the 14th of every month, we expect that businesses must submit what we call e-pay-as-you-earn. So we see that a number of them still have not enrolled into the system, yet they are expected to submit their returns using the system. We want to encourage them that the first point of call, or the first thing that they need to do for them to be able to use the system, they need to register into the system, and we emphasize that that is actually critical. We want to encourage them to go into our different platforms to be able to get that particular link so that they are able to register. We also will be continuously sending out emails. We find that some people don't check their emails. We want to encourage them to ensure that they check their emails so that they get that link for them to be able to enroll into the system.
Now, the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade will start conducting a study for the establishment of the Cooperatives Bank. Now, the Deputy Commissioner of Cooperatives, Bongani Mazia, says they are hoping that soon the bank will be established in the country to ensure that more safer ways for savings for Emaswati are there.
The Cooperative Societies Act of 2023, we need to popularize it and make the public aware of the special sections, like, for instance, the term of office in the old act was 2 years. It has now been revised to 3 years. The term of office has been revised to 3 years. And cooperatives, they need to align their bylaws to the new act. It means as we go around the country popularizing it, we will be touching such issues to make them aware of the sections that they need to be mindful of when revising their bylaws.
Let's have that conversation in detail with Bongani Mazia after the break.
kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba-researche, bafunze.
Being risky it means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
nathi kufuna sente ukukhicita lokhu sekumbili.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Seven minutes after 2, let's welcome Bongani Mazia on the program. Mr. Mazia, besikubukela nyalo usichazela ngale ntuthuko lena le nkhulu nakangaka, which has been a dream for quite a while for the cooperatives industry. Siyathi ukuthi benisolo niveleni kwindzaba lenhleni iveta ukuthi sinalo leliphupho. Engabe kulibona ngathi nyalo angeke kusaba liphupho seyinfo lengathi vele seyitawuba, you will reap the fruits, and indeed we will see it coming into fruition. How exciting is this, and what does it mean?
Siyabonga Mnguni. Sivusele kubabukeli Eswatini TV. Siyakhumbula ukuthi iliphupho vele selinesikhashana solo siphupha. Sibe nenhlanhla ke lokuthi sinema developmental partners in the name of DGRV, the German Confederation of Cooperatives. Bayasisita kakhulu, they are willing to handhold us such that in 2023 around November nankhumbula kahle, we had the opportunity to visit Germany, where safika sabona la kunemabhange nawo la khombisa inshisakalo yekusita silive ezisivula lelibhange lethu kaNgwane. Sikubona ke ukuthi kutasisita singemaswati. We will remember ukuthi the primary goal of a cooperative bank is to provide affordable financial services, including savings, loans, emaswatini. Siyathi ke kuthi lokhu kupromota financial inclusion. It also promotes local development kuma communities emiphakathini. If singabuka nje ma advantages akhona, one of them it's that it's going to offer alternative source of credit for Swazis. It encourages ukuthi si-service siphinde si-invest esingemaswati, because I believe lokuthi libhange lilinye kaNgwane because the population yethu akusiyo lenkulu kangako, 1 million people. Nasingaba nelibhange linye lingakhona kusiserva sonke. It will improve farming methods ethu. We know ukuthi kulamalanga siyesihlaselwe dangcotho nayo yonke lento. Kuyayidinga ukuthi nasilima kube nabo shelter nasilima. So we believe that having a cooperative bank, all those services will come in handy because it's a bank by the people for the people.
It's quite interesting because siyevalo ukuthi cooperatives, particularly the sector in its entirety, handles quite a lot of money. I think the Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, he once handled the amount of, I would say, 3 billion emalangeni, and that does indeed necessitate inzabe ukuthi libe khona libhange. That's a lot of money, and if you look at, isimo semnotho selive la kaNgwane besolo inanadelwa inzabe ukuthi the cooperative sector ifaka sandla lesikhulu kumnotho wa kaNgwane. Ngifuna lokuva nje ukuthi engabe nasiva ukuthi nyalo sekunemithetho leseyiphasiswa kwakhona nale parliament letawengamela tonke letindzaba leti, lokho kusho kuthini, kunijabulisa kangakanani nisetha?
Siyabonga Mnguni. Sitakhumbula ukuthi besisolo sisebenzisa i-Cooperative Societies Act ya 2003. Kuyimtotho lenkulu silitiko la kaCommerce ku-announce lokuthi i-Cooperative Societies Amendment Act ya 2023 seyiyengcile eParliament, sengumthetho uyasebenza. One of the issues beswa addressa ngalo mthetho lo ngiyona lendzaba ye-cooperative bank lokuthi beyingasi well articulated kule cooperative societies lenzala kule act lenzala, but kule sesiyayikhulumisa indzaba yelibhange, siyayikhulumisa indzaba yabo term of office lokuthi bekungu 2 years kulelo mdzala umthetho lona so nyusanyusele ukuthi term of office sang 3 years. I-effective date yawo nje kube ngu-13 October 2023. Kunetinshwana letiningi nje letikhona lapho. Sakhumbula ukuthi nasibuka le data yethu lebo 2011 2013 saside ema-youth cooperatives or ema-schools cooperatives, nyalo sesinawo. Uyakhona-ke ku-addressa tindzaba tema-schools cooperatives te-youth lo mthetho wethu lo. Sitabe popularize ke kulamalanga naletako throughout the country. Sitawu visit all 4 regions of the country. Sihambe sikhomba leto tingcingwana la sekunelo lishinjo khona ikakhulu lokuthi kuthinza nekuthi ema-bylaws nema-policies etinhlangano asale achinja align kulomthetho lomusha. Nguloko lesitabe sikushumayela singathi nje we urge all cooperators to attend these meetings so that they get the right information.
Another thing indvuna leyakuveta indzaba ukuthi the Cooperatives Act, particularly at 2003, it does iyanigunyata lokuthi abe khona onke ama-cooperatives, all types of cooperatives, and I'm happy lokuthi you're alluding to the fact that akhona ema-youth cooperatives lasakhona as well as schools cooperatives. But the biggest conversation now inzabe ukuthi the thing for the producer lama cooperatives atingabi ma raw material. I suppose it cuts across not just the cooperatives kuphela, even other businesses silo semhlabana naso sivetile inzabe ukuthi akungabi ma raw material kuphela kwanza ukuthi sesimixa kulamanye mave sebenta khona ma finished products. Ngabe is this a conversation that you are having and plan to have as you invite onke ama partners enu nisaqhubeka kubuka inzaba yokuthuthukisa le sector?
Truth yona Mnguni, kulamalanga nje sitabe amenda i-policy yethu lesifuna nayo i-align nema-policies alamanye ama-departments within the ministry, like i-policy yaka-industry lecedza kuphasiswa kulungiswa kulamalanga nalaphelile. Na utakhumbula nje kunendzaba leke yavela khona emaphephandzabeni indzaba ya Eswatini Multipurpose Cooperative Union. Ngiko lokususako nje phasi silo office la commissioner ukuthi asiboni lokulaba kwendako asesonzele dudane so that tindzaba tabo value addition kuma agricultural goods nakulamanye ama-commodities ngabe tendiwa ngibo as an IPEX body le nake lama non-financial cooperatives.
Right.
Ngibo lebekufute ngabe sibukela tindzaba tetimakethe, local markets as well as timakethe tangaphandle. Ngumsebenzi wabo lekufute ngabe bawenda kubonakala ungathi abawendi ngonje kususele luphenyo lolukhona lolu. Siyethemba nako ukuthi kutawuthi kuphela lo msebenzi loyo kutabe khona indlela lengumkhombandlela.
Yeah. Mcango, we saw a lot of excitement ka Eswatini Revenue Service nababaniketa Commissioner General Mr. Brightwell Nkambule, who has since done a marvelous job, since assuming office, a lot of innovations, la sabe khona. We were just talking about the Tax East platform just now. We also have seen, the appointment of Vusmuzi Nxumalo has been appointed as the new commissioner for the cooperative development under the Ministry of Industry, Commerce and Trade. Umuntu uyafuna lokubuta ukuthi engabe ni excited kangakanani ni sector because finally you have a commissioner and that's going to be handling quite a lot of money, 3 billion within the industry, and the establishment of the bank. I do see it's something now now that you do have someone in the driver's seat. How excited are you to finally have someone
kusisitile kakhulu Mnguni kuba na substantive commissioner. I think tintfo letinengi bese timile kufika kwakhe nje i-assignment yakhe cala lamnike yona minister ngule cooperative bank,
right.
The establishment of the cooperative bank. Sector kuyasisita kakhulu ngoba bebakhala nje baka advisory board ukuthi akusebenteki some of the developmental partners bayaye bafunela ukuthi kube na substantive commissioner kuze bakhone kusebenzisana nelive kahle. Siyakujabulela kakhulu ku appointwa kwemnguni kule position le. Sifisile kumbambisa as ama officers. We know ukuthi umsebenzi wema cooperatives mkhulu. Nalo 3 billion lesikhuluma ngaye nje is as a 2021. If we can have it data le current utakwanza sesingetulu kwa 3 billion. Exactly. So I sector lengicabanga ukuthi vele it will change the face of the country in terms of good developer the standard of living of eMaswati.
Kango sinifisela inhlanhla nisabuka umsebenzi lomkhulu nakangaka sibonge ukuthi ke nisebenzisana nato tinini idelivery eqhamuka khona eGermany. Sethemba ukuthi umsebenzi otawuhamba ubemhle kakhulu.
Siyabonga kakhulu Mnguni.
Kakhulu. Sitawubahloli market bonkosi sixoxisana naBagcinile Simelane. She is the personal banking manager at Nedbank. After the breaks khulumisa indzaba yema personal loans nema overdraft.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Welcome back to the program. Let's welcome Bagcinile Simelane. She's a personal banking manager with Nedbank Eswatini. Our conversation today, Bagcinile, is going to be about personal loans and overdrafts. Perhaps before we get into, all the processes entailed in our topic today, let's define what personal loans are. Good afternoon.
Okay. Good afternoon, Sfiso. Good afternoon, viewers. Thank you for having us today. Okay, personal loans, this is a type of facility that you can borrow from a bank or a financial provider to cater for personal expenses or personal needs that may just arise at any certain time.
Let's talk about the process now. What is it that I need to bring? What is it when I come to inquire with you guys? What are you going to tell me? What does the process look like?
Okay, firstly, you need to make sure that, because we always encourage clients to come with their IDs when they come to the bank, so we're able to identify them. And then, but the main thing for the loans that you need to make sure that you have your payslip with you, so that we're able to calculate affordability determined by how much your salary is. So basically, that's the main document that we need when you're coming. It's the payslip. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, that means this is for employed persons, correct?
Yes, it's for employed persons because we need to ensure that the repayments are going to be serviced.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what does the approval look like? Since, you know, I've already brought all the documents that you guys require from me. I've got my ID, I've got my pay slip, and everything else, really. What does the approval process look like?
Okay, when you come into the bank with your ID and your payslip, and your sales consultant has calculated the affordability for you, and you are content with the amount that you are going to be granted, we then continue with the process. It depends on where you work, I would say, because some organizations would need a payslip and a confirmation letter, and then we have civil servants who can just come through with their payslips. So once your submission is done, the sales consultant will prepare the application and send it for evaluation or assessment, of which then they get a response on the outcome of the application and inform the client right away. And that's when the client is then now credited with the funds.
And I believe throughout that process, that's when you assess the person's credit score, and
Yes.
that should inform the interest rate. Yeah, what does that look like? And that's, you know, normally an uncomfortable conversation for the applicant.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think maybe we do still have some sort of limitations in Eswatini in terms of financial literacy. So you have to explain to the customer in terms of, you know, because credit score basically guides us in terms of the client's ability to service a debt. So that does definitely influence the interest rate. The interest rate that we offer is in line with the client's credit score as well as the condition of the market, because as financial institutions, we are regulated. So we need to ensure that the rates that we communicate to the client to apply on these facilities are actually in line with the regulated lending rate in the country of Eswatini.
I think that really, you know, makes sense when you talk about interest rates. But I would assume that your credit score typically influences, you know, the kind of interest rates that you are offered. Maybe if you will just, you know, define what a credit score really is. I think that should help a potential client out there.
Yeah. Okay. Basically, a credit score is an instrument that helps us to ascertain the credit worthiness of any client. So basically, it's a record of how you are able to repay your debts wherever you may go and borrow and commit yourself.
It basically looks at your honesty to your obligation.
Exactly,
really.
exactly.
Yeah, if you were to make an example, would you look at maybe an agreement that I made with the furniture shop? Maybe they gave me something on credit. Do you look at if I really repaid that as per the obligations?
Well, there is a tool that we use that helps us ascertain if you appear on a credit bureau as someone that is not able to service their obligations. So we don't necessarily request you to now submit your other commitments so that we can be able to check on whether you're repaying that. But there's an instrument that guides us that, okay, no, this client is servicing all their obligations well. If not, then it flags you, and then that's how we're able to pick it up.
Okay, I might as well just go and apply for a personal loan after this show. Actually, my credit score is really good, so I believe that...
You're welcome anytime.
Thank you. Let's talk about the repayment, processes. I believe that personal loans use an instrument of installments. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
So when we're calculating the affordability or the client's ability to repay a loan, we do take into account of the repayments as well, because we need to ensure that the repayments don't necessarily lead the client now to be in some sort of financial crisis. So the repayment there is, we give the client a quotation which basically illustrates the funds that they're borrowing as well as the repayment over a certain tenor. And then the client is able to view that and ascertain if this installment will they will be able to service it.
I have a brother, he's a lawyer, and he always likes to associate taking a loan with signing a contract at work. And he always emphasizes, if you're going to take a loan, don't be afraid to send me that document. Ask for the soft copy from the lender. Send it to me. We read every term and condition, every literal obligation that will be, pronounced on that document.
Yes.
Why is that important? Because he always talks about, fees. There may be fees that you may not really be aware of there, which are not necessarily the repayment fees, right?
Yeah,
They are
yeah.
different from the repayment fees. Do you have those under this particular product? And if so, let's define them.
No, I think going back to what you mentioned in terms of the document that is signed by the client, we ensure that we definitely cover all the terms and conditions and and also the fee structure of that facility that you will be taking with us. So there are fees that that are part of the loan, but everything is basically stipulated point by point in that agreement or in the quotation as well, because we do give you a quotation of the application that you're quotation of the loan that you are requiring. Yeah,
that's quite interesting. Let's talk about the credit impact. We've already spoke about credit score, but how does me taking this loan now affect my credit score? What are some of the things that I really need to, abide by and comply by to make sure that my credit score is not impacted badly?
it's just simple. You just need to stick to the obligation that you've made with the bank or financial.
Let's make a typical obligation. Let's create a case. Yeah, I've taken the loan. What is a typical obligation that could possibly put me on the bad side of things? What do you normally, go through?
Okay, I would say something that will put you on the bad side of things is if you miss a monthly repayment on your facility, of which then now that raises questions in terms of whether you are capable of servicing this facility, and that is what that's what hurts, or that's what has a negative impact on your credit score, because now you are showing you are showing that you are not able to service all your obligations as per all the commitments that you have made.
Okay, maybe if you'll allow me just to go back a little bit on you already talk about commitments. We just spoke about fees. And, I know that there's origination fees, there's late payment fees. If you will, just, define those for us. What happens for me if now I have to, pay late payment fees, and what do they look like? And origination fees.
Okay. The origination fee it's a once-off fee when you establish the facility. So that one is not... that one is not affected on the loan like on a monthly basis or whatsoever. It's just a once-off fee. And then the late payment fees is now, I think on the example that I just made, if now you miss a monthly installment, that now puts your loan into what you call being in an arrears position, as
so
now
a penalty.
There's now a pending payment on your on your loan. So there are like some sort of penalty fees just on the missed repayment that you have made.
Yeah, but do personal loans require collateral?
Most personal loans do not require collateral. We find basically our security with a personal loan is you having a valid payslip, and if you're not a civil servant, a confirmation letter that will dictate your employment terms, of which helps us ensure that whatever terms we give you on that loan should fit the employment details that are stated on the confirmation letter.
What are some of the purposes that a personal loan can be used for? And I believe now we are speaking directly to a client. People are going through some financial difficulties, and I know that a lot of people are in need of loans, secure loans, that is, particularly loans that come from, verified banking institutions. And I believe this one particular one from Nedbank is one that they can trust. What are some of the purposes that, they could be going through right now and would say, I need a personal loan?
Yeah, it's quite a lot. You can use a loan to attend to maybe home renovations if that's what your aim is, because for the year, you can also be able to pay a school. You can borrow money to pay for school fees. You can also borrow money to attend to any emergencies that just may arise out of the blue. Also, we can assist in terms of maybe consolidating if you had different loans and different financial institutions. We can assist you consolidate that loan, and now you have one repayment. So yeah, it's quite a lot, honestly.
But Kunele, thank you for joining us on the program today. Maybe before I let you go, I'll give you an opportunity to look straight into that camera and talk to the viewer. Tell them where they can find you on social media and how they can contact you if you have a phone number.
Okay, we do have 12 physical branches in the country that you can visit whenever you need assistance from the bank. Our number that you can call us on is 2378-1999, or you can email us at helpdesk@nedbank.co.za. You can also find us on our social media pages, on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn at Nedbank Eswatini.
Twitter, by the way, formerly known as Twitter, is now called X. So they can find you guys at Nedbank Eswatini. So go ahead and do that. Inquire every information that you may need. But essentially, I think we covered pretty much everything that you personally need to bring if you want to get a personal loan with Nedbank Eswatini. The biggest thing is your payslip, but you do need your national identity card as well. I think those are the two most important documents that you may need to bring when you want to get a personal loan from Nedbank. Otherwise, from myself, let's go for a net break. We'll continue with the show after the program, after the break, sorry. Welcome back to the program. The Ministry of Finance is at a stage where it is considering establishing a secretariat. It is a secretariat that is going to look into the project of merging state-owned enterprises. The chairperson of the Eswatini Public Enterprises Association, Dumisani Msibi, says this is done to fast-track the process and give it the attention that it deserves. Now, the chairperson was responding to a question on what they were doing to ensure that the merger of these enterprises is indeed a success.
The period that it has taken has caused some instability in some state-owned enterprises. We've seen exodus of senior employees and in some cases junior employees, because if you wake up and read in the paper that your company is folding, then you are bound to start looking around. So that is the kind of feedback we are getting from CEOs, that they are having challenges insofar as retaining personnel and human capital, because people are also want to look after themselves. The other biggest challenge is that when this project was introduced, state-owned enterprises were advised to put on hold major investment projects until this exercise is concluded. And therefore, 5 years is a long time still waiting for this to be concluded and not making new major investments. At the same time, you can understand that if indeed certain institutions are going to be merged together, for example, why would both of them still be constructing new office buildings because they'll end up in one building. So those are the projects that Cabinet referred to that we should probably hold back as state-owned enterprises until the exercise is completed. We've had the pleasure and opportunity to be engaged by the head of government last month, and this matter was brought to the fore. We have been assured that government remains committed to the exercise and that is going to be rolled out. The only new development is that the Honorable Prime Minister did reopen the whole discussion in the event we have new submissions as state-owned enterprises, which should be incorporated into the exercise before it's even fully launched. So that is where we are. Our wish, of course, would have been, which we expressed when the whole exercise started, was that we start the process and we swiftly go through it so that we maintain stability and continuity in these state-owned enterprises.
Yeah, and that's it. He was speaking on the impact of the secretariat, the establishment really of a secretariat, an important body, if you listen to him, Nelly, on the impact that it's going to have, you know, the establishment of the body then, and, you know, just for the coordination really and the administering of things, the administrations. Engabe, from your conversations that you had with him, why is it important now more than ever? Because, you know, SOEs have been here for a while. We've had the recommendations that the World Bank has said. We've also heard from the Minister of Finance because, you know, they've been taking some of those recommendations, filtering them in and seeing what is going to work for us. And indeed, when he tabled the budget speech in Velo, there's a key focus and an intentional one this time around, Kuwema state-owned enterprises. Engabe the secretariat for such a long time, is it going to fix these many problems that we've had, the many loopholes that we've succumbed over the years? Why is it important?
When I heard the MD saying that there is going to be a secretariat, in fact, but it's a consideration.
Right.
So I consulted with the business community, is this going to be a good thing? So they are saying ukuthi kungathi kungaba kahle minister ukuthi nje endel committee lelitawuba la ministry, because there won't be any contractual obligations. Ngeke kudinge ukuthi nase al disbanda lelo committee ukuthi abhadale mhlawumbe imali letinengi. And futhi kutawusita lokuthi minister akhone ukuthi mhlawumbe alicontrole kahle lelo committee. So this is something that is being looked at. It's not something that's definite. Basabuka ukuthi engabe lingendiwa kanjani, but the business community is suggesting ukuthi akube nje nel committee khona la kube info le department khona la ministry khona ngatophinze kulahleke imali letinengi ngoba I secretariat ukhanza ukuthi ihlala for a very long time, whereas a committee yona ukhanza ukuthi ihlala nje leso sikhathi leso 1-2 years isasebenta lo msebenzi bese ke iyaphuma. The MD has said they are considering it, but info lesetawubuka.
And how do you reckon it would help, particularly in the inefficiencies that we've seen over the years, Nelsie, the unprofitability of things? I mean, that has been the lingering conversation. In Lenkulu, we've also seen even our, His Excellency, the Prime Minister, speaking to the SOEs, chairpersons and CEOs, which Mr. Msibi is a part of, by the way. He was also in that room. It was so quiet. You would hear the drop of a needle if it was dropped. The biggest conversation was, let us be not necessarily profitable in such a way that because we do know the services of SOEs for the Maswati angakamegi. But let us be efficient. Let us operate within profitable margins. How do you see this secretariat coming up with solutions, maybe, or assisting really SOEs?
Because the secretariat or the committee will have this distinct area of action, bona batawubuka nje specifically ukuthi singawenda kanjani ukuthi lama institutions lawa as they measure, how do we make sure ukuthi nas measure lama institutions asengibekise nje sifisa ukuthi kutawuba nekuthi lamanye
tintfo labatendako atisabi khona mhlambe they share resources asengibekise nje illegal team mhlambe they will share it utawukhanza ukuthi sekuba nema savings la khona lapho because bona they will have more time because they will focus on this thing they will have more time ukuthi babuke ukuthi engabe vele singahlanganisa kuphi sibulale kuphi mhlambe sikhulise kuphi khona lokusha lotawukhanza ukuthi ezikwendiwa le streamlining ukhanze ukuthi kuya sekuvuka lokusha so having the committee or the secretariat mhlambe kutawusita khona lapho.
Yeah, and indeed, one of the things that I'm reminded of is that, like you've alluded already, that it's still an idea.
Yes.
It's something that they plan to put, tire on the ground and probably implement, seeing the advantages, the many advantages that it could come with. But similarly, so the merger itself, it has not been necessarily confirmed that it's going to happen. It's still an idea, but, at least they have been presented, with good ideas as to how it would help with the current problems, currently, engulfing the SOE sector. But let's listen to him again. When you talk
about merging state-owned enterprises, you must first appreciate that these are creatures of statutes. And therefore, you don't just wake up and say, you are now merged, you are one institution. It's a process. You have to draft the new bills and new laws, and then repeal the old laws, which then create the merged and new institutions as proposed. For that process, you and me know, it has to go through a lengthy process. The Attorney General's office, Parliament, assent to the new law by the right authorities. And therefore, when we reflect, we do realize that maybe we should be honest with ourselves. The timeline, we were too ambitious as stakeholders. The truth of the matter is that this is still going to take some time. We're quite aware that realizing the magnitude of this task and the responsibility at hand, government, through the Ministry of Finance, approached two major cooperating partners. And then I think it's now common knowledge that the African Development Bank was approached, the World Bank was approached, the African Development Bank pledged support in terms of resources. Our understanding is that we are now at a stage whereby the Minister of Finance is looking at establishing a secretariat that will run with this project, realizing the magnitude of the project at hand. And that is when then the process of drafting the relevant legislations and then taking them through the necessary processes so that this takes effect. From where we sit as state-owned enterprises, I said earlier on, we are creatures of statutes, and the custodians of the statutes is the government of Eswatini. We have been given the direction which we should be going as state-owned enterprises, and we are going to follow that directive.
Yeah, Mr. MCB, speaking on the magnitude of this development that they have right now as an idea, a fruitful one, that is, it could be a fruitful one, that's what he's saying. But Nelsie, where he's saying, let's be honest, and I like what he's saying, that he's quite frank and candid in saying that let us be honest, that umsebenzi lona lomkhulu kakhulu lengeke kufuna ukuthi bese sesiba too excited, sesijabula kakhulu ukuthi hayi vele sekutawendeka tonke tinkinga sevele setisemuva. What do you make of that?
For the past 5 years, they've been looking at this Sifiso. Ndawubekisa nje ngemthetho ukuthi nangabe ku streamline lama state owned enterprises kunemithetho lekufanele yendiwe siyathi ukuthi umthetho uqala eministry na usuka eministry uye ka AG usuke uye cabinet usuke uye parliament so kuningi lo lokufanele kwendiwe before kunga streamline lawo lama SMEs and money maningi kakhulu, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we should be excited. Mina ke ngithi yes, ngiyamuva Ndlondlo ukuthi uthini ukuthi umsebenzi omkhulu lona lokungeke ufuna ukuthi sibuke ukuthi vele so uyendeka next week, but just looking at the prospects, we should be excited.
Yes, we should be excited ngoba lana utawukhanza ukuthi sesiyakhona kwenta info letinengi lama SOE sesiyakhona nekusave imali. There'll be shared resources, but as he said, there is a lot that needs to be done kulo msebenzi lona Sifiso.
Nelly, thank you so much for joining us on the program today. Forever appreciate providing your insights on business news. Asiba Hlolet Market Nozibu Siso Tembe joins us again this week. Kubuka the financial outlook from she's coming from Nedbank Eswatini.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba research bafunze.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
nathi kufuna sende ukukhicita lokhu kusembili.
All right, let's welcome Treasury Dealer with Nedbank, Nozibusiso Dembe, on the program to look at the financial outlook today. We do want to look at the foreign exchange first. We soon will have a graphic growing up on screen. The United States dollar,
Thank you so much, Sfiso, and afternoon to all your viewers. At the moment, the US dollar against the SZL is currently trading at 18.6542. The pound against the SZL is at 23.8550. The euro against the SZL is at 20.8372.
Just looking at the United States dollar, Lilot Vanje, 18.6542. Is that good? Is that bad for our traders? Online bo e-commerce yathi ukuthi sebahamba embili kakhulu. Nami nje khona ematekle ngiwabukele ngifuna kuwathenga online eMelika.
Yes, actually, that's right now the rand is quite strong. In comparison to the previous few weeks. So yes, if this is a good time to do that. We have seen a lot of rand strength, I think, in the past week or so. But yesterday there was US data, inflation data that was released, and we saw that the data that was released was a little bit lower than the market initially expected.
In the US?
In the US, right. Yes. And that inflation data indicated then that maybe interest rates are going to stay higher for longer to try and curb that inflation.
Do you know what is impacting that in the United States?
In all honesty, there's a lot of factors that
Right.
impact these things. Right now, inflation is just mainly it's food inflation that's quite high.
And unfortunately for the consumer, that's the thing that they can't really compromise on, and it affects them even further.
It's quite interesting. But also interested in the euro. I'm big on shoes, so there's some shoes that I'm really eyeing. I'm not going to say how much they are because people are going to charge me. But just looking at the euro, what is impacting that?
So really, it's more rand strength that's happening more than euro or US dollar or GBP fluctuations, because basically right now the rand is flourishing off of the increase in the gold prices. So with South Africa being one of the biggest producers of gold in the world, when there's an increase in gold prices, naturally the rand will then strengthen. So that's why the rand is seen to be strengthening against all major currencies, including the euro that you're talking about.
Before we move on to commodities, it's quite interesting how Europe is showing us mixed signals, with London and Frankfurt in the red currently. And one may wonder what is really impacting that. But I think with the answers that you've already provided, we do get to make sense of everything that is happening there. Let's get into commodities. We do have gold and Brent crude oil.
Okay, so in terms of gold, at the moment, gold is trading at $2,158.96 per ounce. And in terms of Brent crude, it's trading at $82.42 per barrel. On the Brent crude side, we've had not many fluctuations in the past couple of weeks. But on the gold side, you'll remember last week we were talking about having increasing gold prices. But yesterday, again, due to the inflation data in the US that was released, we then saw the gold prices start to surge and take a different turn. So we are seeing a bit of lowering in the gold prices, but of course we're still higher than we were a couple of weeks ago.
It's quite interesting, and I will want us to move on to equities. But maybe before we go there, eMaswati solonje ancindekile indzaba yokunyuka kwabo petrol. Engabe with these current statistics that we have, 82.42 per barrel, are we seeing good movement lapho noma kusafuna vele ukuthi sisamukelele simo lesi for a while?
By the looks of things, Brent crude hasn't really been volatile in the past couple of weeks. It's really been trading between about $82 per barrel and maybe 83 or thereabout. So at the moment, it doesn't look like we should be expecting any significant changes. But again, markets are markets, and you never know what will happen.
That's quite painful. I think that is a painful sentiment to hear, but it's good that it's still so let's move on to equities, the S&P FTSE, as well as the JSE ALSI.
Okay, so in terms of equities, we're tracking 3 indices. The first is the S&P 500, which tracks the performance of companies in the USA, the top 500 biggest companies in the USA. The second is our FTSE 100, which tracks the performance of companies in the UK. And then we have our JSE All Share Index, which tracks the performance of companies in South Africa. And at the moment, as things stand, all these indices are looking good. Performance across all the different countries seems to be good. But just to highlight, in the US, we've seen an increase in the prices of companies such as Oracle and NVIDIA. Oracle and NVIDIA recently announced that they'll be partnering to create an artificial intelligence-powered cloud service platform. So with that, the prices of their shares have increased quite a bit, I think by 11% and 7% respectively. In the UK, we have seen companies overall increase in performance. And this is after data was released in the UK, GDP monthly data, indicating a marginal growth in the UK's economy of about 0.2%. This is, go ahead.
Yeah, no, keep going. I'm yet to ask you, I have a question on the artificial intelligence. In fact, it's a sentiment really, but keep going. Sorry for interrupting you.
Okay. So the GDP growth that was seen in January for the UK is quite important, because in December there was a bit of a contraction. So it's starting to indicate that the economy is bouncing back, and the market is viewing it that way.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask, How much impact does, the developments around AI impact equities? I've heard you make, the pronouncements on what and NVIDIA, everything that is happening there, because this morning I was just reading a tweet by Elon Musk, funny enough, as, metaphor would have it. He's saying that AI will probably be smarter than any single human next year. And by 2029, AI is probably smarter than all humans together considered. There's a lot that is happening. It looks like particularly America, the Silicon Valley, is really, really committed in developing artificial intelligence. But for me, it's going to be smarter than all of us. But what is happening with AI? How does it really affect our equities?
So yes, you're right. AI is quite topical right now at the moment. And even in the equities market, you'll see that with AI companies like NVIDIA and related companies, their performance is really good in the equity space.
Right.
But of course, just like with every other market, things can change tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting what's going to happen there. I wanted to ask about the surge in oil futures and their contracts, some of the causes and impacts around those movements, if we have them already.
Okay, thanks for that. So in terms of oil, I think the biggest issue that's happening right now in the oil space is the issue of the supply and demand.
Right.
There are interventions to try and combat that from OPEC. The US has also started producing oil. They recently announced that they have smaller stockpiles in oil. So all those things really do impact oil and come down to the bottom line where it impacts the consumer.
So thank you so much for joining us on the program. We do hope that we're going to have you again next week. That was quite insightful. So we could see in babukeli bathotela uhlelo lethu lo mohla sifuna ke kunishiya ni sale kahle.
Make better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch was brought to you by Nedbank.
Hey you! Yes, you. Have you paid your TV license?
Did you know that by paying for your TV license fees, you will be complying with the laws that govern television possession, in particularly the Swaziland Television Authority Act of 1983 and its regulations? It is a legal obligation.
Paying for your TV license can have a positive spin-off, as the money collected from TV license fees goes a long way in assisting Eswatini Television Authority procure appealing and relevant content to broadcast on the channel.
So now, these fees also increase purchasing of local content from independent producers, which helps ensure that the arts and film industry in the country is well supported thus far, ensures the creation of jobs for eMaswati. The payment of TV license fees goes a really long way in such endeavors as well as nation building.
A TV license costs 180 emalangeni per year per device, and for other accessories such as a decoder or njinja, it costs 50 emalangeni per device per year.
By paying for your TV license,
you will be doing the right thing.